Welcome to episode 83 on the Live Blissed Out podcast. Did you know that time and money is wasted when companies and individuals decide to focus on choosing the perfect technology platform for their e-learning instead of focusing on their learners? Hello, action taker. Welcome to Live Blissed Out, a podcast where I have inspirational and informational conversations with business owners and subject matter experts to help you get the scoop on a variety of topics. Tired of hesitating or making decisions without having the big picture? Want to be in the know? Then this is the place to go. I'm your host, Marissa Houston, helping you achieve bliss through awareness and action. So let's get to it. Joining us is Hector Simoudis, a well-traveled Greek born and raised in the Middle East. He experienced a melting pot of cultures from an early age and considers himself lucky to be exposed to so many people from different walks of life. Blessed with the ability to travel to 39 countries, it was in the poorest of communities that he learned the value of relationships and education. As a natural people person, he engaged with many individuals and sought to listen and to learn from them. And what he learned was money and materialistic goods didn't make people happy. Personal connections and education did. Co-founding VP Legacies with his best friend Jonny Havey, his number one focus is to build long-lasting relationships with clients and partners. As e-learning experts, they focus on helping companies with what is most important in their online learning, understanding who their learners are, and getting content in front of them as quickly as possible. To learn more, visit vplegacies.com. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. This podcast should not be considered professional advice. Hey, Hector, it is so wonderful to talk to you today. Welcome to the show.
Marissa, thank you so much for having me on the show today. I can't tell you how excited I am. Thank you.
Yeah, me too, particularly because we are going to be talking about a topic that I think a lot of people are thinking about now, especially during these times when we are in this digital world where we have to find ways to reach our potential clients or the people that we serve online. People are always thinking about courses. But the reality is that there's so much to consider because think about it. In the old days, let's even say a year and a half ago when people were out and about networking, essentially there were so many learning environments where you would have maybe a lunch and learn and you'd get invited to a group and you would bring all the information that you needed to share with that group and it was targeted and you'd show up and you would present and then you hopefully got a few potential prospects out of that and you just keep doing it and start building your business. Nowadays, that's not something that we can do very often anymore, if at all. And so now those people are going, well, what are my options? I probably need to take this online. But that's easier said than done, Hector, because there's so many things to think about. It's not like you're just bringing your materials and talking and walking away. There are so many elements to courses. When we're saying e-learning and courses, what exactly are we referring to?
Of course, Marissa, and you're totally right. We're in this world now where it's all virtual, where we're moving learning online and so many things online. And as we're starting to see, there's a lot of puzzle pieces in order to create online courses, right? And I'm so excited to jump into it. So e-learning as a whole, what does that mean? What is online learning? It is taking your learning online in a virtual format, whether if it's onboarding for companies, whether if it's creating courses to then sell to a business to consumer market, even a business to business market to create a recurring revenue. It's basically taking all of those learning efforts and now putting them online in any sort of format and way.
That's a great definition. At least now we're all on the same page. My understanding with that too, and I like to look at it in two categories, and there could be more, but this is how I view it, is there's that internal e-learning piece of it where, let's say you have a company and you know there's going to be a certain percentage of turnover and you need to keep people up to date and you need to onboard them in a specific way to be consistent. Then you have to consider what are your options for training people internally and what courses can you then develop to make that happen. Then I see the other piece of it, which is the external, which is what a lot of us business owners know and understand. It's that we want to create courses that anybody can sign up for. And I say anybody, obviously your target audience, but you attract the right type of people, and then they can go online and watch your course and in some cases interact with you as well. Could you talk about those differences and things that we need to be considering when we're looking at those areas of technology for training people?
That is a great question, great topic. So like you were saying, Marissa, you have your internal training. And what is your internal training? I want you all now to think about that onboarding process. Think about the company that you're working at right now. What was your onboarding process? How did you get introduced to the company? How did you get trained on the tools that you use or your process or your system? A lot of the companies that we've had the opportunity to work with, to advise and talk about online learning with, they're coming to us because they want to capture their training, the way that they train, and produce it on a onboarding and online training that is scalable, easy, and also from a future employee perspective, allows and empowers their employees to go through the program and then ask specific questions and strategic questions in areas that they may be struggling. There are two types of e-learning content. The first type is, think about your content library. Pay $5 or $10 a user and get an access to 100 or even 1,000 different types of learnings. That learning is super powerful. Many of us may even be subscribed. Many of us are HR departments or maybe even our professional employer organizations. The benefit is having access to a lot of these already created courses. There's a lot of courses that have been pre-created, like OSHA-specific training, depending on the industry that you're in. You have to embrace that training. However, don't forget about your company as well. The way that you train, your process, your system. That's one thing that we do and that we focus on is on the custom side of things. And that's the second type of content is custom. Taking your voice, your systems, your processes, and developing it in a way to empower your organization and empower your employees. In addition, from the internal training, we have our external training, which is basically your creating courses to create a revenue stream. Maybe you're a subject matter expert and you have a lot of knowledge and you want to take that knowledge and you want to put it in a course format. In addition to the clients that you have, your clients could be all over the world because you've created it in a way which allows access to anybody around the world that may be having challenges with the courses. Many entrepreneurs, they're coaches or they have a lot of knowledge base. And they're saying, how can I take all of this knowledge and put it in an online learning format so I can now impact people all over the world by producing them and selling them to a larger audience? In other words, spreading their impact. So let me give you a couple of quick examples. Internally, we were working with an irrigation company and they came up to us. We're having some challenges. We have 4, maybe 5 months where we make our revenue. We're a seasonal business. We're in Colorado. And once when that winter hits, we're pretty much shut down. And getting people trained, especially in the irrigation world, it takes a lot of time. And once when we train them, we only have a limited amount of time to make our revenue. And we've experienced attrition during those 4 or 5 months when we're making our revenue. So instead of spending time on developing new clients and working on homes and their irrigation, we're spending all of this time trying to find people and re-onboard them and retrain them. We need your help. We help them develop their own internal university. We help them take their knowledge and now it's on an online learning onboarding format. So when it is time to hire or when it's July or August and maybe they lose an employee, instead of spending so much time and resources reteaching everything again to this new professional, they can now have them go through this onboarding and training online. We're creating and taking your knowledge as a company and producing it internally. Now, on the flip side, the external, we are working with this incredible subject matter expert. He is a musical wizard. He's amazing. He is a university professor at one of the prestigious music universities here in the United States. Throughout his career, he has built an amazing reputation in China. And one thing that we learned while working with our client is that their musical programs are limited from a collegiate level. A lot of high school students, when applying for university, they're trying to come to the United States because the musical programs here are very powerful. The education and knowledge in Music is very diverse. So he saw this opportunity to create an online course to teach high school students what do they need to do in order to apply to musical universities and musical programs in the United States and have a higher chance of getting accepted. This 30-plus year career of music, and now he's taking that, packaging it, and is offering it to people in China. And it's not just China. There's going to be a lot of people that could use this in the future to get accepted into university schools here. And we're just scratching the surface. We've already started bouncing off ideas on other types of courses and other areas that he's a subject matter expert in. It is super, super exciting.
And here's the thing. It's repeatable. It's consistent. And the reach that you have with a course is limitless because anybody can watch it from anywhere in the world. Think about it. In the old days, we didn't have that option. You had your radius maybe 5 miles from where your business was, and you'd have to drive and try and get a venue and show up, and you would only reach, I don't know, maybe 25 to 50 people. But now it's limitless, as well as going back to the internal piece. It's huge because you want to make sure that everybody gets the same message and you're being proactive versus reactive.
Exactly. I love how you say that. That's a big personal reason why I'm in online learning. I had the opportunity to travel a lot when I was young. That's a blessing that I had. And I'll never forget, I was in Cambodia with my family, and we were in this tourist location, and all of a sudden, 15 or 20 local kids to the region, they ran up to us and ripped shirts and no shoes, but in perfect English. They were asking all the tourist groups there, where were they from? And they would ask a tourist group, where are you from? And they would say, we're from England. And then they would shout out London. And then the next group would say, we're from France. And they would shout out Paris. And it was just such a moving moment because our tour guide turned to us with a big smile and he said, these kids, education is everything. It's the way that they can not just grow out of their circumstance, but more importantly, reinvest in their communities and help their communities thrive. I can't tell you how excited I am every day when I wake up, when I think if somebody has a device and an internet connection in the world that we live in today, they can have access to all amazing education from industries and individuals. So everybody that is listening to this podcast, you are a subject matter expert. You have a powerful knowledge base. And there's somebody, not just here in the United States, but all over the world, that if they learn from you, their whole entire world can be impacted and their communities can be impacted. And that's why I wake up every single day.
Hector, I'm so glad you said that because we also come to each subject matter with a different perspective. People sometimes say, a topic is oversaturated. I can get so much information online for free. Why would I pay for a course? Or why are you different? But the one thing that makes us each unique is what we each bring to the table. Every single person that we talk to has a different personality, a different style, a different message. So even though some of the information could be overlapping, you are not just buying the course, you are buying into that person. You enjoy how they present it and you can relate to them and they are speaking to you as the listener or the participant in that course. I'd like to talk about the importance of talking to the listeners, like not really focusing on you, but focusing on your audience.
You are spot on, Marissa. Talking to your audience is the most important thing. We all have our own story. We have our own personality. I want you all to think about some of the motivational speakers that we follow. There's many motivational speakers out there that in some areas, or actually in many areas, they talk about something similar, regarding motivation or growth, but it is your personal connection to them. It is their story that you relate with, and it's a big reason why you follow them. It's not because the other motivational speakers aren't good or they can't motivate. It's just you can relate to them on that personal connection, emotional level. Same thing about those courses. Are there many business coaches out there as an example? Sure. But your story, the reason why you got into business, the reason why you became a business coach is your story. Nobody can duplicate that. And people are going to relate with that and they're going to want to work with you. It's all about your learner. Everything with online learning, as we're going to dig more and more in today, is all about your learner. When you start getting into online learning, we start getting distracted. We start saying, we need to find the right learning management system.
Yeah, that's the first thing everybody asks about, right, Hector? It's like, oh, I need an LMS. Like, which one should I use? They don't even consider the other stuff yet.
Exactly. And here's me telling everybody, that is one of the biggest mistakes that are done when it comes to online learning, is everybody has this belief that they should be dependent on a learning management system. I'm not hitting down learning management systems. Learning management systems are a powerful tool. However, the focus shouldn't be on the learning management system. The focus needs to be on your learner, understanding who your learner is, understanding the types of experiences that they're looking for, understanding their requirements, their personas, their characteristics, and then find a learning management system that meets their expectations and what they want. It is all about the learner, from the content to the learning management system to everything. It is about understanding who your learner is and putting a learning and experience in front of them that emotionally connects with them. I can't tell you how many times we've seen companies that are spending not hundreds of hours, they're spending thousands of dollars trying to figure out what learning management system should we use. We've even talked to professionals in the industry where they've told us that they have been on education teams in big organizations, and the discussion and debate of a learning management system took over a year. It is incredible. And when we ask them, well, did you talk to your learner? Did you ask and figure out what type of experience that they're looking for and then find a learning management system tailored to them? They looked at us with question marks. They never had even thought of it. And I can't tell you how many companies go through the process of finding a learning management system, time, money wasted, all these things, only to switch a few months later. So it is all about your learner. You need to really understand who they are. So let me give you an analogy. I love using imagery to explain. I want you to think of a car. I drive a Toyota. Let's say Sarah drives a BMW. If you really think about it, there's no difference between a BMW and a Toyota.
They both get you to where you need to go.
Exactly. They get you to where you need to go. There's really no difference with any learning management system, because what are they all made to do? Now, the features of a BMW, the features of a Toyota, in other words, the experience is what changes the whole entire thing. So the reason why I drive a Toyota is completely different to why Sarah drives a BMW. It's because it is a completely different experience. Same thing with the learning management system. They all offer different experience and elements for your learners. So if you take the time to learn about your learners, what they truly need, then you can find a learning management system that makes the most sense for your learner, for your customers. That is something that we hit on like crazy because it is overlooked. It's something that we have seen time and time again. Learners are overlooked. Courses are built. Learning management systems are created. This is done. That is done. And then all of a sudden the launch happens and nobody's coming through the door. Did you consider the learner when making all those decisions? And the answer is always, yeah, we kind of did, but not really.
Are you a Gen Xer who has always wanted to start a podcast or YouTube channel? Ace Your Virtual Business is a business-focused community designed especially for brilliant minds over 40 and is centered upon action, community, and effectiveness. Be the first to sign up to get launch announcements and exclusive offers when you join the eList and Ace community. To learn more, visit aceyourvirtualbusiness.podia.com. And what you're saying, Hector, really is that we're thinking about the logistics, because the thing about it is it's such a big pie. There's so many elements to launching a course. And what happens is we get so bogged down in those elements that we lose sight of the why. Like, why are we putting this course out and who is it going to help? We're losing sight of the real focus. And that doesn't mean that those elements aren't important. Obviously, they are. It's part of your brand. Many times the LMS thing is something that people obsess with because they don't want to switch, because they know it's more of a hassle afterwards if they have to switch from one platform to another. But to your point, There are LMS systems that are designed just to put out a course and people can watch them on demand. And if that's your only goal, then that would work for you. But then there are ones that have all the bells and whistles. Maybe you want to do affiliate marketing. Maybe you want to do membership platforms. In that case, those considerations have to come into play in order for you to decide which of those systems are going to work best for you and the people that are going to be part of that course.
Exactly. And I want to add to that. I'm going to say something that somebody that's in the industry will more than likely disagree with. What we tell entrepreneurs and businesses that are just getting into online learning, especially ones that are going to be selling those courses as well, your learning management system can be as simple as utilizing Excel. Why? Now, we've done this many times for our clients. Actually, some of our current clients right now, we are doing that because ultimately, what's the most important thing? The reason why you're developing a course is because you have learners that are going through some challenge. They're going through some problem that your content is going to help, that your content is going to solve. That content is super important. If I am a learner and I'm having a challenge, I don't care if it is on Excel or a Kajabi or a Thinkific, I want that content because that content is solving my challenges. By producing it and utilizing the Excel system that we've built as an example to first put your content on there and give learners access to that, we will then allow for feedback and understanding of what our learners need. So when we do move to a learning management system, we know it is the right one to move to. It sounds interesting, and it's something that the industry doesn't showcase. But every client that does not have a learning management system, that needs one that we've worked with, we've started them out on something super basic as Excel. And we have moved them into a learning management system after going through that process and learning their learner. We have moved them to a learning management system that makes sense based on who their learners are. And their learners love it. They are not switching LMSs, and they're not going to have to go through that pain. It's different, but if you keep it basic at first and really spend your time through the course development, through the course structure, through the experience, if you put all that time and focus, especially if you don't have a lot of resources, into your learners and keep everything basic, if you are solving that problem, they are going to be digesting that content like crazy. And at the end of the day, it's going to allow for you to learn more and more about your learner, which ultimately will help you when it comes to choosing that next LMS to migrate your content to. Now, I know there's all these questions, but Hector, how about payment processing? How about this? And how about that? There's so many elements to e-learning. Our philosophy is, whether if it's Excel or something else that is very basic, our goal is to keep it basic so our focus doesn't get lost. Kind of like we were talking about earlier. It's not about the why or the purpose of the learner. It's about the bells and the whistles. The reason why we have that strategy is because we don't lose sight on that purpose and that why. And that's why I give that Excel example, because we have taken it to the basic level of that, because we train our clients that when we're working with you, always about the learner. The industry average of engagement is 30 to 40%. The reason why we have 80% on average, which is unheard of, is because we take this approach that is purpose and why centric, having everything basic and then keeping things basic so we focus on the learner. So each decision that we make is always at the forefront, is the learners at the forefront of those decisions.
You know, Hector, it's so important to have this conversation because one of the things that I think stops people is that they compare themselves to other course creators that have been doing it for 10 years and have teams. They have studios, they have special cameras and lighting and all these wonderful effects. And they think that's the bar that I have to follow in order for anybody to join my course. And what they don't understand is that these people started somewhere. If you watch many of their early courses, they were plain. They had like a backdrop behind them with nothing, and they would just share content. And then once they started getting followers and customers and their business was growing, they would reinvest into enhancing their courses. I think that we want to compare ourselves to people that have been doing this for a really long time. I'm a big believer in simplicity. You have to start somewhere. Everybody has a message and some wonderful expertise that they can share. So give that information out, help people. And then once you do that, then all the things will start to fall into place.
I completely agree. Let me give you a great example. We're working with a client right now that when we first started to communicate with them, he looked at us and he said that I'm going to develop a learning management system from scratch. And we said, no, don't do that. You don't start online learning by spending tens of thousands of dollars on developing a learning management system from scratch. We almost made that mistake. We almost did that. And the truth is, apart from there being not just hundreds, thousands of learning management systems out there, we sat down with them and we said, listen, the most important thing is your learner. And you've been having a lot of challenges. He has a SaaS. He has a software as a service company. You've had some challenges with your customers, educating them on certain tools and elements that your platform has. So let's keep it basic. Instead of trying to create the next robust system, going to what you were saying, looking at what's out there and comparing ourselves to what other people are doing, let's just focus on what we're doing and let's focus on our customers. Let's focus on our learners. And what we ended up doing is we showed him why going the route of learner-centric instead of trying to spend all this money developing something from scratch was very important. He looked at it and he really understood and he saw that, yes, no, this is the right way. So what did? We put him on our Excel system. We said, let's keep it super basic. Let's focus on the content. Let's focus on the learner. Let's focus on their problems. Let's focus on the challenges. Let's get content in front of them as soon as possible based on the problems and challenges that they have. And that's the process that we're in right now. It's an active client as we speak. So the content is being produced. It's getting introduced to their learners. And ultimately, once when we go through that huge learning curve, once when that content gets in front of them, once when we get feedback and hear what is working, what isn't working, what's important to them when it comes to the experience, then we'll look at going to a learning management system based on their feedback. We don't need to compare ourselves to others. We need to focus on us and what our learners want. Keep it basic. I really like what you said, Marissa, which is why and purpose focus. Let's not get distracted by all the new bells and whistles and fancy new light. Let's focus on the most important thing, our learners, keeping everything basic.
And we'll get discouraged and we don't go after it because we're saying, oh, I'm never going to be that way. But all these greats that are out there doing these amazing things with their courses, they all started with very plain courses. They grow through the course. Even their presentation, they get more comfortable. It's like anything else. If you're doing it, you start improving. And that's the whole point. You just want to keep getting better, but you got to start somewhere and you must not be afraid of making mistakes and tweaking things. And it's a process. Even though you've created it from scratch, likely a year from now, you're going to say, that thing isn't applicable anymore. I need to upgrade it. And you may have to re-record that piece of the course. But your main message will likely be there. And then you can just enhance things as you go. And then, like you said, there's going to be other things that'll branch out of it. And you're going to go, wow, now I want to focus on this for my audience. And you're going to get feedback from them. They'll tell you what they want to learn from you. And then your community grows and referrals grow. And it just takes you where you could never imagine. But you got to start. And if you don't start, you're never going to see that growth happen.
You are spot on. When you start simple and you have your main focus on your learners, it allows you to grow with them. You're learning from them. You're not just teaching them, you're also learning for them. The reason why so many of these individuals and companies are where they are today is because they kept it simple and because they allowed to grow based on the feedback and focus on their learners. It's allowed them to thrive to where they are today. So everybody that's listening to this podcast, because this is a big question that we get all the time is, I haven't done online learning before. I don't know what resources I need. I don't know where to start. If you are a solopreneur, you have the capability and the ability to do this. You don't need a full video production studio team. You don't need the most robust learning management system technology to create this learning experience. Remember, you are the subject matter expert. You know your content the best. And people are coming to you. The reason why you have clients is because they want to learn from you. They relate to you. They love your content. They love how you present it. And that's what they want. So with simple tools, with your 4K video that can be recorded on an iPhone or a smartphone, you can start creating it with your learners as well. They love working with you and they want to help you grow and thrive. They've been impacted by your work and they want others to be impacted by your work as well. And that's the beautiful thing with online learning. And that also comes to when it comes to selling your course as well in the future, you are building this emotionally attached learner base.
For people listening to us right now, they're saying, okay, this is great. I really want to take a step forward in making this happen. Well, first of all, it doesn't happen overnight. And the question you have to ask yourself is, are you going to go at it alone? Or are you going to pair up with somebody that can help you through the process? And there are always pros and cons to both. There's not a right or wrong. If you have limited budget, you probably have more time and you want to do the research and you're willing to fall a few times until you get things where they need to be. And you're probably going to make more mistakes than you wish to make, but it's okay with you. Then DIY might be the way to address it. But if you say, I have a certain budget, I have a goal in mind, I don't want to fumble, I really want some sort of guidance, then at that point you can say, all right, maybe I should be talking to a professional to help me. So understand those pros and cons, figure out what's the right fit for you, and remember that whatever it is that you have to give, they need it. And if you're not creating those courses, you are missing out on opportunities to help people. It's a partnership. Oftentimes your community is just that. They want to support you, but they also know that you have so much to give back to them. And it's that partnership that makes it all worthwhile and it makes it a success for everyone. And those are the people that are going to be your biggest fans and are going to tell other people and want to bring them to the community as well.
It's so true. It's just so incredible to think, Marissa, that a simple connection and a device, and you can have access to so much education. We don't want you to be overwhelmed. Is it going to be easy? And are there going to be thousands of people running through the door? Probably not. It's going to take some time of learning and growth, just like everything in life.
Nothing comes easy. It's either you get somebody who's an expert who can make the process easier for you because they've already gone through it and they know what to look out for, or you go at it alone. But either way, there's effort involved. There's nothing that's easy, in my opinion. There's consistency, there's resilience. You just got to go out and do it. You're going to make a few mistakes along the way, and that's okay. That's part of the learning process, and you'll grow from there.
Exactly. Chances are, as we start developing content, we may have to redo content. We may have to redefine this. We may launch and it may not go the way that we were expecting it to go. We want you to know that's okay. That's part of the learning process. That is how we grow. That is how we learn. That's how we make our products, our services, our businesses better, our courses better. It is through those learning experiences. But the really cool thing about online learning is as you are learning with your learners, which is so cool because so many books talk about this. So many entrepreneurial gurus talk about this. If you can create an emotional attachment with your customers, they will not be just coming through your door, but they will be raving fans and talking about you to their friends, to their family, to their colleagues. And that's the really cool thing about online learning. Once when you first step into it and you focus on your learners and you always make it about your learners as you're developing the content, as you're testing content, you're going to grow this amazing emotional connection with them. And it's just so beautiful to watch. We have seen it time and time again. And it is so amazing, especially because at the end of the day, you are taking your expertise and providing it in a way where people are ingesting it and are impacted by it positively.
Yes. And don't be afraid to ask the people that you know you want to serve, what do you want? Because now you've got all the answers. You know exactly what to give them. And so by the time you launch your course, there won't be a question as to whether or not people will want it because they told you they did. So it just makes the process so much easier. Hector, how do people learn more about your company and the kind of support that you offer folks when it comes to course creation?
First, we love building relationships. We're all about building relationships. So please reach out to me on my LinkedIn, Hector Simoudis, HectorSim like mountain, Oudis, or my business partner, Jonny Havey, JonnyHavey on LinkedIn, because we love to develop personal relationships and connections with you. Also, our company, VP Legacies, we're about to go through a rebrand, so stay tuned. Go to vplegacies.com to learn more about us. And then once when that rebrand happens, we're definitely going to have it rerouted to the new website and the new name. Also, feel free to contact me at my personal email, hector@vplegacies.com, and reach out. We're here to not just develop relationships, but also to educate. If you're interested, We have a weekly micro-learning that we send out every single week. It's not a newsletter. It is a micro-learning. And a lot of the things that we teach is the secrets behind micro-learning and e-learning. So if you're a solopreneur, or if you're an individual, or if you're a company with just a few employees, what resources can you utilize that you have in your pocket or around you to start creating online learning as a whole? If you want to be on that weekly micro-learning that is purely educational, please contact us there. We want to make sure that any questions that you have, that you can come to us knowing that we are going to give you advice, expertise to allow you and empower you to create the online learning that you want.
Hector, I am so glad we had this dialogue today because courses are a big deal for us now. They're so critical. Many people that are listening today are either launching a course or thinking about launching a course because really we've got to get online in order to get our information out there. It's just an essential part of business anymore. Whether we're doing it internally or externally, it matters to create these courses because in the long run, they're going to really benefit our business and help us reach our goals.
Marissa, thank you so much. We can't express how much we appreciate it. It is a pleasure to be here on the show with you, and thank you again for having us.
That's a wrap for this episode of Live Blissed Out. Thanks for listening, and thanks to Hector Simoudis for joining us on the show. If you have a question or comment for a future episode, all you have to do is go to speakpipe.com/LBOVM or click the link in the show notes to leave a brief audio message. If you find value in our show, please visit liveblessedout.com to reach out, subscribe, and share on social media. This show is made possible through listeners like you. Thank you. So long for now, and remember to keep moving forward.